Hello YouTube, this is Nova Tempest 4892, otherwise known in the wargaming circle as Nova Tempest here, and I've got something special for you. I know you're hearing my voice for the first time. Don't be too surprised by it. It's going to be more of a common theme as we go along here. I'll keep doing the silent videos, but I kind of wanted to speak out. So, this video is going to be about light fighters in World of Warplanes. Probably the least played of the three compared to World of Tanks and World of Warships, but I digress. There is a player base here. Here is a recording I have for you of how I fly one of my favorite aircraft in the entire game, and I'll reveal it here for you. The map here is Peripheral Mission Silence of Ice. Map that's typically seen by tier 4 through occasionally there's tier 7s that see this map, but that's rare. But there are 5 sectors. There's a middle sector, there's garrisons, there's mining plants. So, the aircraft I'm going to be flying for you in this video today is this aircraft right here. You see it in yellow, the BF-109E, or the email to some people. This aircraft is one of my most flown, one of my top favorites. I have 170 hours flying this plane alone. On my team is another player in a Model 81A1. It is basically a prototype P-40. Similar to the Heinkel 100D1, it is a duelist from back in the day. It is not very good in terms of armament, but it can do some pretty interesting maneuvers. On the other side, we have a unspecialized BF-109B. Not too worried about him. But the one that might be a headache is the one opposite of me, this Hurricane 2. He is specialized. The 20mm cannons on those Hurricanes, those Hawkers, sting. The individual shells can sting quite a bit. But these things are not fast. They're not super agile. They can be made to be pretty agile, but most of the time, you just have to be aware of where they are and don't let them get the jump on you. That's the key, or a key, excuse me, with light fighters, is to try to keep aware of your surroundings in what are known as furballs, where there's a ton of planes circling around each other and shooting at one another. So, with this in mind,
good luck.
Here we are with this map, Peripheral Mission. Now, let me pause this again real fast. For strategic tactics, there's some strategy to this game. It's not as complex nearly, I would say, as warships or tanks. Well, tanks can be very tactical, but here, let me actually just do a little telecasting here. As a light fighter, a ground rule is to never, ever go to these first. Never. There can be a few wild exceptions, but those are few and far between, and it purely depends on what enemy players, you can't see my air quotes, do. But, as I said, you do not want to go to mining plants as a light fighter. The reason why is because, well, there's no targets there for you to engage quickly and rapidly in succession. What you want to do instead is go, preferably if there is one, to a central sector. Now, I'm sure many people that first play this game, that are new, kind of get that, but there's a big reason for that, especially for here, because this is an airfield. What this means is that should you take this basically shortcuts your route to any other sector, you can pretty much pick and choose where you want to go. You could go here. You could go there. You could go there. You could go there if you needed to. It would be quicker and easier to just spawn there rather than have to spawn over here and then have to fly all the way over here for something, for instance. So, anyway, BF-109E, nice simple game, nothing to it. We're just going to really get a detail into how I fly a light fighter like this. So, of course, I'm kind of just letting the counter go down. Now, you can also see that I have a mouse and keyboard display right here showing how I'm controlling the plane as I go by. Anyway, so here we go, going into the middle sector here. I'm gaining altitude because this is an energy fighter, not a turn fighter. The Zeros and Spitfires are more turn fighters than this thing is. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of take an eye view of the mini-map here. Just doing a little turnover. Alright, so here we are real quick. Just real fast. So there are 4 light air defense aircraft here. These are, at the beginning of a match, the bread and butter for a light fighter. The best place to find these are on garrisons, airfields, air bases, a little bit of thornier targets, sectors for these in here are command centers and missile bases. Well, I won't break that down too much for you, but generally speaking, as a light fighter, when you're entering a neutral sector, your first target, with a few exceptions, of course, are going to be light air defense aircraft. There might be a human on the other side that comes in here and really tries to assert their dominance. If you are competent enough, you can go ahead and try to shut them down, but for the most part, you're better off going for these light air defense aircraft. I will show you here why in a few seconds here. So, I'm coming up with the first one right here. Now, notice how I haven't started shooting immediately, despite the fact that it shows, with this red number right here, that I am in firing range with my cannons and possibly my machine guns, but don't know for sure yet. There's a reason for that. The reason being that with this aircraft, the optimal firing distance is around 400 meters. So you're most lethal within that range. Now, of course, you could say, oh, but I need to shoot down this aircraft that's about 600 away, but my guns can reach it. That's fine. Just know you're not going to do nearly as much damage that way as you would if you were, say, 400 or 300 meters away. Anyway, so here we go. And see, clean kill right there. I engage a little bit here, let the guns close a bit more, let a guy pass me. Okay, so real fast. This right here was a bot. I recognize that guy as a bot right off the bat. He made a pass on me just a second ago. Did a little bit of damage, as you can see right here. But I'm not too worried about him. He's a bot. These guys, once you start playing enough, you'll start to recognize the behaviors of these bots. They can suddenly snap onto you, but you can kind of key yourself into that with the mini-map here, if you have it blown up enough. I do press the Alt key a lot in some games. It's a force of habit, but it's mainly to sort of alternate between knowing the direction an aircraft is facing and what type it is, all this different sort of stuff. I also see here that there is a heavy fighter close to me. Probably this one right here. But I'm not too worried because he's probably facing the opposite direction considering where it came from. All that jazz. So, knowing that, we move on. Kind of loop-de-loop now. Here's another moment. I have another light fighter right here that appears to be on my tail, as you can see right there. I have a few guesses as to who this is, but my guess is that this is probably a player, an actual human. That's probably our 109B that we mentioned earlier. Knowing that, I have to keep my wits about me. Because if I simply fly straight at this guy right here and don't try to make certain maneuvers or gear course, the guy behind me, this guy right here, is going to simply fire at me from here and really wreck my HP bar. And I do not want that. I want to be as intact as possible. So, knowing that, I keep swerving around, make him miss his shots, engage this bot just to get rid of him. Get rid of him. Now, here we go. Here's our guy I was talking about. Just as I suspected, this was him. This is our 109B player. He has done what he's supposed to in his light fighter. He is engaging another light fighter. But what he does not realize is that he is facing a highly experienced 109 player, 109 email player. He's fighting against a plane that is a tier higher than him. And he also has the attention, probably, of a friendly aircraft that just showed up earlier, that Model 81, who's probably right around there somewhere, just below me. Now, a key thing to keep in mind when you're flying light fighters is you have to be aware of the capabilities of your plane versus the capabilities of the opposing plane. So, this 109B, right here, has a single cannon and a lot of machine guns. Okay, that's a little bit of ouchie, but it's not too much ouchie. What I'm going to do is get into a turn fight with this guy, because I know he has a similar turn speed that I do. But what he doesn't know, and maybe some of you more astute folks can tell, I have this little magic button right here. This is a pneumatic assist consumable. Increases turn speed of your aircraft for a short duration, I think 8 to 10 seconds or so. So this is a temporary magic button. I can essentially enhance my turn speed when I need to, on a dime, especially in emergencies. And now this isn't quite so much an emergency, but it's one that I feel like, okay, I feel like I need to take this guy down fast. And here's how we do it. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look. Go right underneath him, make him miss most of his shots. Pop the consumable, flip right on him. Get a nice, almost total kill on him. Turn around, easy. Quick and easy. Now, as soon as I turn around, here's our Hurricane 2 guy. Here's a X7. And a I-16 in the background. These two are further away. I am not going to deal with them. Not going to deal with them at all. It's this guy that I'm worried about. At the moment, I have the Alt key pressed down, so I can't tell if he's facing away from me or he's coming straight at me. But I'm going to presume he's just coming straight at me. So, with a aircraft like this Hurricane right here, with superior firepower to your own, a key thing to do is to make yourself as difficult of a target as possible to engage. That means doing swerves, doing loop-de-loops, doing all kinds of different things. Just throw off their aim. Make them miss as much as possible. You might still get a crit, but the key thing is you're going to probably wind up with this much health left versus going straight on and winding up with that much, or just being totally freaking dead. So, let's take a gander at how I achieve that real fast. And see, he breaks off. Boom. Nice and clean. Then I turn my attention to this F2A. Quickly batter him down. There's our P-40 prototype right there with us. Bam. Nice and clean. Now, here we go again. Here is what I presume is the Yak-7. This guy is a bot, but this is a dangerous bot. The sniper bots, the Yak-7s, Yak-9s, Su-9s, I-215s, I-211s, I-260s, they are dangerous because it's a bot in control of a really powerful gun that can do a lot of damage out of nowhere from about 2 times to 2.5 times that range. You have to be real careful with these guys, especially if you're in a light fire, because if you're not paying attention, they can blow you out of the air. You have no idea what hit you until you see random Slavic name Yak-7-9, the same list I said earlier. Now, of course, it's a bot though, so these guys can be a little predictable. Here we go. Nice and clean. Now I switch over to the I-16. Bam. Here comes that bot 109B again. Make myself a difficult target. Get into a collision. That's fine. It was with the wing and not the fuselage. Another clean kill. Now here we go again. This guy right here. This is the 109B once again. The human one. The human 109B. He is likely after me to try and get me for the time I got him. This is common. So, as I said earlier, he's on your tail. The best thing for an energy fighter like the 109E to do is to just keep going forward, but make yourself as difficult of a target as possible while you're doing it. So, again, to preserve those hit points, that's critical, and to potentially shake off the human. Now, a bot will be more persistent, but a human could possibly break off and go after someone that's behind them. See right here, I got another guy right there that's behind him on my team. And then beyond that, there's another red on his tail. So, let's watch what happens here. I'm not going to spoil it. Get enough distance, break off. He gets a little bit into me, but that's fine. Now, again, here we go. There's our Hurricane 2. Here's our 109B pilot. As you can see, the cap is dangerously close to being flipped. If I'm not careful, one of these guys, this guy or that guy, could take out someone else and flip the cap. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 aircraft that are friendly, that are teammates on this side that could get shot down and flip this cap. There are also a bunch of air defense aircraft that could be engaged by this guy right here. Take them out, either one of them, and this whole cap goes to the Reds. So, with that in mind, I have to be quick. I have to take out one of these guys before they can do the same to one of mine. Now, watch what I do. Dax out my pilot, gets a med pack immediately, flip over, decide to go after the Hurricane first, because that has the more dangerous armament. He's going after the damaged 81A. Set him on fire. Gun discipline. Finish him off. Zoom to make sure I'm clear. Now, here's where I change tactics. So, I see that in here, I do have 2 more Reds, and the 81A is right here. I'm going to trust him to do what he can to keep this from flipping. Now, I also see that we have yet to take this mining plant. We also have yet to take this one, but the enemy team, as you can see, has almost flipped it themselves. I'm going to take a gamble here. I'm going to go here, wipe out their ground pounders, including that bomber up there, way up there somewhere. Possibly that might be the heavy fighter actually right there, but assuming he goes in, he's another target. This is where a light fighter is useful in a mining plant. If there's a lot of enemy aircraft loitering around in there, because killing these aircraft, or destroying them, is the same as taking out big ground targets on the ground. You see one right there. There's one right over here. There's another one right there. You can kind of see that from all the way out here. So, even with this little hit points, I'll be recovering up to there if I leave everything alone. But I'm going to go to this plant and try to flip that and give ourselves a key advantage, even though, as you can see here, we are in the lead. So, we're going to go ahead and play that through. Do a little spin to make sure nobody's on me. I'm eyeing the heavy fighter up above me. Doesn't look like he's going to go after me. I go after that HS-129 before he leaves the factory. Does not make it out of the factory in time, so that's cap points for us. I do a quick check. Let's see how we're all doing. I go after this BA-2. Now, key thing. With a high hit point aircraft, you want to do one big burst of fire, then fly away. You don't have to turn back onto their tail to try and take them out. You can just zoom away, then come back around and finish them off in an energy fighter. With a turn fire, it's a little different. But here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive in on him while firing my guns. Then once they get to the red, I'm going to just fly away, then come back around, finish him off. Now, another thing to note. So, unfortunately, they still got the middle anyway, despite the Model 81A in there. Either they got an 80A and flipped it, or they got him. I can't see that at the moment. I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on taking this mining plant and giving our team a critical advantage. As I can see here, right here, we are actually in the lead to cap the other mining plant. So I'm not super worried about that. Our other garrison is totally fine. I am not worried about that either. Right now, I am focused on clearing everything out of this mining plant to flip it the old-fashioned way. So, we're going to see how that pans out here in just a moment. I break off, give a little space, turn back around, and blow him out of the air. Now, real fast. Here's what I meant by an exception to the rule of light fighters not engaging ground targets. I know that this aircraft, my 109 email, has, in fact, 2 machine guns, 2 15mm guns, and a single 20mm gun in the nose. That is all on this aircraft right here. It's probably one of the most heavily armed, actually, it is the most heavily armed in terms of sheer gun number tier 5s in the game that are this potent. There is the Hurricane 2 that can mount 12 machine guns, but those are not very strong. The Hurricane 1 can mount 12 machine guns. Those are a little more lethal at tier 4, but I'm digressing here. So, as I said, this is a big exception to my rule earlier. Big exception. This is a ground target that, if your light fighter has enough firepower and you are pretty close or doing well to capture a sector like this, this will help to add to that lead. And I have the firepower to not so much just completely destroy this ground target with just the guns. I'm relying on something else. I'm relying on a little something called fires. Every gun in this game has a chance to set something on fire. It doesn't matter if it's a plane or if it's a ground target. It's universal. I'm going to count on all this firepower right here. All of that firepower to set something in here on fire. That will burn down these 2 sections of the ground target. They're basically pieces of one big thing, and either make it easier for a bomber up above to finish it off, or for a GA to come by and flatten it. So that's what I'm doing here. This is an exception to my rule of not engaging ground targets in a light fighter. The only exception. I will occasionally do this, but not very often. This is why you see some ground target kill markers on my 109E. It's from doing this right here. So, as I said, we're going to try to flatten this ground target right here. That one blows up immediately. I break off that second one because it doesn't catch on fire. Now they blow up some targets on the ground. That annoys me. So what I'm going to do about it, I'm going to go up with my energy fighter and take out some of these bombers to offset that. Boom, there goes one. I come back down toward this ground target right here. Kind of making sure I have enough space to get away with it. Fire the guns again. Now, you don't quite see it yet. The angle's a little bad, but from this little thing right here and that little bit right there, the number here kind of gets in the way. I have, in fact, actually set this on fire. There will be a big fireball that pops up on a target when it's set on fire. Ground attack people know this. You know exactly what I'm talking about. For those that fly ground attack aircraft, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. But for those new, it'll look something like this, but on top of an intact building, and it's going to look a little bit smaller. So if you do this, and again, for new players, I don't recommend this until you get a feel of what you're doing. You want to look to see if you get that fireball. If you get that fireball, break off. Do something else. Move on to a new target. This is exactly what I do here. I see that, or I hope I see it. I break off, go after this heavy fighter that's going after a bomber. This could be really annoying. Unless I get rid of it. I run out of boost, that's fine. I have the momentum to try and just take him out anyway. Alright, I've taken him down. We're back up to 60. See right there. 60 cap points for blowing that guy up. We're back up. Now, situational awareness moment. I have already killed him, but before I even shot him down, I see that I have right here that multi-roll and that light fighter. I want to assume these two are the humans on the other side. That's a big uh-oh. In World of Warplanes, numbers can be dangerous. The numbers game is dangerous. A 3v1 is really bad. That is bad for the one. Unless you are really good at multitasking and just making yourself as difficult as a target as possible, that is going to be really bad for that one player, because he is pretty much guaranteed to get shot down. A 2v1, however, can be a little different. If I can knock out one player right off the bat, the other one suddenly becomes really exposed. They'll start sweating. So, watch what I do here in response. I go to the 109B. Make myself as difficult a target as possible to hit. Pass him right by. So, just from a cursory look, real fast, I saw briefly this guy actually was an F2A. That is a multi-roll, but it's not the Hurricane, which is good, because if that was the Hurricane, he'd probably be shooting at me right now with his cannons and wrecking my health bar. I could probably have been shot down right then and there if that was the Hurricane too, but it's not, which is good for me, because that means I can focus on the 109B human that just passed me and then take him out. Boom. There's our plant.
The plant is ours.
I go to the F2A. Knock him out of the sky. That is textbook light fighter gameplay for you right there. Target prioritization, knowing your target's capabilities, knowing other planes' capabilities that are around you, and knowing where they're facing, what they're doing. That is how you do it. Now, I've taken this plant. I'm going to go back to the airfield and try and take that back. Had a little blip in the sound there because I accidentally alt-tabbed. here's what I'm going to do. Here, I see that this I-16 right here is still in the zone. The zone is almost captured. I kill this guy, this sector gets flipped. As long as he remains in here, in this circle right here. If he's in that circle right there, when he gets shot down, that airfield's ours. And there we have it, folks. Here comes the KI-45 on his tail. He turned to me, basically presented himself. Free kill, nothing too special. Casimir, the Yak-7 bot, basically blows him out of the air for me. It's a kill steal, but who cares? It's a bot. There's that F2A again. Roll out of machine gun fire. Get right underneath of him. Flip up into him. And blow him out of the air. Now, here comes that 109B again. This guy is focused on a different target, something up over here. I don't care about whatever he's shooting at. I don't care. I care about him because he is distracted. A distracted pilot is a prone pilot, a vulnerable pilot. Keep that in mind as well. That's another big rule with a light fighter. A distracted pilot is a victim pilot, or a pilot of prey. This applies to heavy fighters. This applies to multi-roles. This applies to anything with forward-firing guns. As long as it has the firepower to take care of whatever is being, to put it bluntly, a nuisance. We're going to go ahead and move this forward, and let me show you just how I deal with this guy. So, I make a mistake here. I do make a small mistake here. So, I just kind of break it down for us. So, here is my friendly player, the Molly 1A. I make a small mistake here with the angle. I try to keep myself like this, so that I don't collide into him and can just go like that. Assuming he moves up that way, because I'm hoping he sees that I'm down here. I'm hoping he sees that I'm down there. Unfortunately, he doesn't seem to fast enough, and, well, you'll see the result here in just a second. Accidentally poke him, and the collision kills me. Now, it credits the F2A. That's a thing with the game. It happens. I'll have to reset here, but it's all good and fine. But for it looks like we're going to flip that other plant, which is a good thing. That's what we want. It's something that will guarantee our win. Here comes the Hurricane 2 again. Same principle. Distracted pilot is a vulnerable pilot. Easy kill. Here comes a 109B bot. Down goes the 109B pilot. Here comes the I-16. Blow up the I-16. Here comes the X-7. Blow up the X-7, nice and crisp. Here comes the 109B pilot, the human. Flip over the mountain. Engage him. The Molly 1A finishes him off. Jump to the 45. Boomerang finishes the 45. Flip over to the F2A. Get rid of the F2A.
Victory is close.
Now, real fast. Again, this is what I showed earlier. This is a similar situation here. This time, here's our Hurricane 2. He is looking straight at me. He wants me out of the air because there is squall lineup. If I am shot down here, I'm out for good. It's simple as that because it is squall line. But, same rule as I mentioned earlier. Make yourself as difficult of a target as possible to hit. Make yourself difficult to aim at. Make yourself hard to put down. That will save you precious hit points, even especially in Japanese light fighters, because they have so few hit points to begin with, even though they are slow. These aircraft are not made of concrete. They are not going to take punishment like it's nothing. I roll over, make him miss almost all his shots, barely take any damage. I just turn with him. I don't use the booster here. He stays straight to go probably after a ground target. Now, here's what he's probably thinking. He's probably thinking that I am some newbie that's just doing really well. What he's going to try to do is he's going to try to bait me into colliding into the side of this mountain. But I don't fall for it. He will try to get as close as he can dare to that without colliding into it, break off, and expect me to try and whip around and accidentally smack into it. That's what he's probably thinking. Maybe he wasn't. We will see how that pans out for him here in just a second. See, he makes his move. He tries to get as close as he can dare. Tries to bait me. Doesn't fall for it. And the game is pretty much over at that point. We have both plants. One of them is going to tick in within 30 seconds. But I decide, as you can see here we go, just a little breakdown for you. Right here, we've taken all that I've broken down, and we've combined it into this. Look at that score, ladies and gentlemen. That is a massive score for a Tier 5 plane, with Grade 1 to boot. That is a MVP game right there. Now, I won't lie. He had a pretty alright game too. The Hurricane had a strong game. I will say that right now. He had a strong game. This was not some newbie flying this plane. I will say that right now. He did a pretty darn good job. He could have done better. Yes, anyone can. But the matter of the fact is, this right here, this game right here, another plane goes down. So anyway, I decide to go for this sector right here. Just, not to try and win harder, but to do more. Take down 80A. Plane's about to tick. There it goes. We're at 800. A few seconds to cool down. Don't get that last one quite well enough, but here is the result, ladies and gentlemen. Here is our result. 27,705 personal points. That's plus 1,000 from the 26,000 I had for just being in the game the whole time. But I only got shot down once. Well, it wasn't even shot down once. It was collided out of the air once by accident. But before that, I got Marseille. That's 17 aerial targets shot down in a single sortie in one life. 17 aircraft in a single sortie. We have Ace right here. That is 20 total aerial targets shot down over the course of the match. And I blew quite a bit past that. We have Winged Legend. That is 14,000 personal points in the match. And mind you, I almost doubled that. I was 300 points short of, well, 295 to be specific points short of that. We have McCampbell Medal. This is for shooting down a single light fighter. Kind of screwed up the shape there. A single multi-role. A single bomber. A single heavy fighter. And a single ground attack aircraft, one of each. One of each in one sortie. Shooting these down in a single sortie and then winning the game. Then we have Hero of the Sky, which is getting just, well, grade 1 simply. That's simply for just getting grade 1. It's for fulfilling your classes, your plane classes objectives, which that's one of them. That's one of them. And that's another one for the light fighters. They are for defense of sectors, shooting down aerial targets, capture points. And then we finally have buried in the back, Akamatsu, buried back there. This is for 450, either 400 or 450 personal points. Let me clear that out real fast. So Akamatsu, 450 capture points in a single sortie without getting shot down beforehand. 450 capture points in a light fighter is not necessarily an easy thing to do, but it got done here. Quick, efficient, deadly. That's what the BF-109 is in the right hands, and this is evidence of that with this performance right here, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to break this down a little bit more in detail in the aftermath of this. It's going to give us some details here. I will just kind of let this count down and kind of talk a little bit more. So, like I said, the Hurricane 2 had a good performance. The 109B kind of got thrown around a little bit by my E. That's expected. Don't get too beat up over it. And then here we go. We're going to load into the results screen and kind of give a little more breakdown of how we did here. It's a little slow here. That's just the game's engine. Nothing to worry about. Now, here we go. Here's our breakdown of how we did. Total capture points received. This is the shocker, ladies and gentlemen. Almost 1,000 capture points. Almost 1,000 capture points. That's almost double what you need for the Akamatsu, or maybe it is double. Again, either 400 or 450 capture points. Can't remember which. 20 for Ace. Here we are with 24 air kills. Destroyed while defending. The max is 10 to max this out. Here we are with 13. Straightforward. 27,690 personal points. 3 sectors captured. 5,000 damage done to aerial targets. Damage done to ground targets, 532. That's not a big thing. That's, again, a specific situational thing for a light fighter to be doing. Don't do it much. Don't focus on that. Only in that specific instance that I showed you earlier, that I demonstrated in this replay. 5 assists. Had those been actual kills, we'd be looking at almost 30 air kills. Ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is why this aircraft is my most flown plane. It is just a perfect mixture of speed, agility, and firepower. It combines all these things into an amazing aircraft. And here's the thing. We made 69,000, almost 70,000 credits with regular and without premium, but because I had a box and it spat out premium time, look at this. 100,000 and almost 100,000, 105,000 credits made, or silver in some spheres, for a net loss of about 26,000 because of consumable usage. But still, that is a net profit of roughly, of just over 75,000 silver from a tier 5. You would expect that out of a premium tier 7 with a regular account. Well, not premium. With premium, we're looking more probably around 150. So probably around double that. But still, for a tier 5, that is crazy money. And of course, this is all down to those rules of engagement. And the tactics that I broke down, I hope somewhat well for you guys. And of course, again, it is not something that just comes with talent. You can learn this, folks, ladies and gentlemen. Anyone is capable of doing this kind of thing. It just takes aggression, tactics, and situational awareness and timing to know how to do this kind of thing. Of course, I think I break this down a little bit further because of all those medals I've earned, and this is the first game I ever played today. I got 6 tokens as well, which is a resource in Planes exclusively. So, let me recap. A distracted pilot is a vulnerable pilot. With light fighters, do not go after ground targets unless there is a certain exception. If they're really low on health and it's a big value target, then go for it if you have the munitions to do so. If you have just machine guns, I wouldn't recommend it unless you have a high fire chance, but that's all down to equipment. I'll go over that in another video, but for now, guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and here again, shout out to 32.32RU for his fairly strong game. That was a good battle. GG. UMDY, good game. The 109B was probably newer. He'll learn from this battle, I hope. And like I said, folks, I hope you enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.